Most beginners flip sports cards the wrong way. Here's how to actually do it without losing money. If you're new to flipping cards, this video could save you a bunch of time and frustration. This is the beginner's guide to selling sports cards. We're going to be going over what cards to buy, where to buy them, where to sell them, how to price, and how to take the best photos of them. So starting off here, what cards to buy? I would say steer clear of like retail packs, that kind of stuff like that. There's just such a low chance that you're gonna hit anything really, really solid. Of course, on my channel, I've gotten a little bit lucky with the two videos that I've done so far on opening packs. I've gotten a little bit lucky. I've pulled a couple patches and stuff that weren't actually worth a ton in the end, but I did pull quite a valuable Young Guns. That is not normal, so do not expect that to happen at all. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to card stores and card shows. This is where you're going to find a whole bunch of dollar boxes as well as more valuable cards. If you're going to try and make a whole bunch of money right now buying more expensive cards, I would say definitely focus more of your time going to card shows if you have them in your area. Those will probably be where you're going to get the best deals. So that kind of leads me into the next segment here of budgeting as well. This one's kind of a bit of a joint segment here, so it kind of all depends on your starting budget. If you're like me, starting with a very, very low budget, I started with probably just under $100 honestly, but I've done this for $100 to start. Is what you got to do is you just got to start buying, going through dollar bins, that kind of stuff, and buy a whole bunch of cards that you can flip for just a small little profit. It's not going to look great at the start, but with these profits slowly building up on your store, wherever you're selling them, you're going to get good reviews, all that stuff, which will help you get more and more customers while you're still making a little bit of profit on each of these cards. If you have a starting budget of, say, $500 or even sometimes $1,000, I would say start by buying 2 to 3 $100, $150 cards, depending on your budget, that you could flip and make a really, really solid profit. These you're definitely going to find at card shows. You will not find these at card shops unless you get really, really lucky and make a deal. And then spend another $100, $200 even just on dollar boxes, that kind of stuff, just to get those reviews going and whatnot as well. So what cards do you want to buy? Of course, you want to be looking for inserts, parallels, autos of good players only. I've made this mistake where I've picked up an auto, for $2 or $3 of a player, but it just won't sell because no one knows who they are. So, players like, say your Sidney Crosby's, Ovechkins, they're going to be a lot more expensive, but man, you can make a lot of money off of these cards. And another one as well is patch cards. These ones are pretty rare if you can find them, and they don't have to be like a huge player like a Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid, McKinnon. They can be a smaller player, and they'll still sell for a decent chunk of money, but you do want to be careful with those autos and those patch cards of who you're buying, because it really is all over the place on kind of what you're going to get back for them. And that kind of brings me here to my next point of where to sell. This is kind of my main question I get asked in my Instagram DMs, that kind of stuff. And what I always tell everyone is start on eBay. That's where you're going to get the most views of everything, and it's kind of just the safest way to start. So eBay is where I started personally. I'm also selling on Marketplace and Instagram for my area. I don't go outside of my city for Marketplace and Instagram though. Especially if I'm buying, and I'll get to that in just a second. And then you also have other platforms like Whatnot as well. If you're in Canada like I am, it only really works if you're selling higher valued cards, which I only have a couple of as of the moment, just because shipping prices are extremely high. Unless you're selling cards for a couple $100, realistically, you're probably not going to make much money off of it, if any, and you're just going to end up wasting your time. So eBay, just going back to that point there, is definitely the best place to start. It is super, super easy to set up your store, and just going off of that. And then what I would kind of recommend with eBay is making 2 listings a day will kind of get you the best amount of traffic. That's kind of how the algorithm works at eBay, and generally about a 2% promotion on cards under $20 is what I've been doing. I've kind of messed around a little bit with promotions and whatnot, and 2% is really, really good for cards valued under $20 that you're selling. As for shipping prices go on eBay, that's completely up to you. I think, of course, the cheaper the better. Like for me personally, when I'm selling on eBay, I have been using Canada Post letter mail for a lot of my kind of not necessarily lower end cards, but cards under $20. I will use Canada Post letter mail. I'll chuck in a little bit of packaging and whatnot. And then I've also just bought a whole bunch of stamps too, which is cheaper than just going to the post office, buying them, and then sending it off. So that would be $1.50. I pay about $1.24 for all of those stamps that I bought in kind of a little booklet there. And then I charge $2 within Canada. So you don't want to charge too high, especially if it's shipping within your country as well. But you still do want to charge, unless you're overpricing the card, you really don't want to make free shipping a possibility. It does look better. You probably could generate more sales, but realistically, you're not going to turn over as much money. And in my mind, it's not worth it. If you're shipping internationally, so for me, I ship to all throughout Canada and the US. So if I'm shipping to the United States as of right now, my shipping prices, I just work through eBay, and on that, I do actually get the eBay label, which is about $7 Canadian, I believe, to print that, and that gets you everything you need on there. And I'll just chuck that on top of a bubble mailer. Doesn't really matter what the card actually is. It just gets it's just so much easier to get through all of customs, all that stuff. You don't have to worry about that. eBay deals with all of that for you if you use their label. And I charge about $10 there, so it's about $3 extra in profit that I'm making, kind of just for my time and whatnot as well. So definitely where to sell. eBay is your best bet. Once again, going back to getting reviews and whatnot, if you kind of buy a whole bunch of small cards, you want to flip for small profits, a couple bucks. You're aiming for $3, $4, $5, really sometimes up to $10 with these small profits. And that's what I mean by small profits. You're not gaining a whole bunch of money off of that, but you are getting reviews and feedback on your store, which the more you have, the more eBay will like you and the more they'll push your products to the top of the charts, which is exactly what you want. And now to the next segment of where to buy your cards. And I've kind of gone over this a little bit already with card stores and card shows. Those two are both really, really good bets. Of course, not every city has a whole bunch of card shows or anything like that. Like for me in my city, there's really not a ton. Like there's maybe one a month, and I honestly don't have the time to go to a lot of them just because I am so busy. Card stores are generally a pretty good bet as well, but you're not going to make nearly as much of a profit as you will from card shows, say dollar boxes or whatever. For me, I buy a lot of my stock just off of eBay as well. Of course, I do have a whole bunch from opening retail packs and whatnot too, but that is also just for content. That is just, completely based off of content. So I would not recommend buying from retail boxes. I buy a lot of my personal collection or cards I'm going to flip off of eBay auctions especially. Like this is super, super easy to make money if you find auctions, with, all lowercase or, misspelled titles or whatever, and they're starting super, super cheap with a card in good condition. Make sure you check that it's in good condition and low shipping fees as well, and you just get that right at the end, and you can turn a lot of money. I'm going to give an example of this. I bought a Cutter Gauthier card, and it wasn't even in mint condition, I would say. It was probably in good condition. So 3 out of the 4 that is on eBay scale, generally. Condition-wise, there's a little nick at the top of it, and I bought it for, I think, $9 or $7, and then $2 in shipping in Canada as well. So I paid a total of about $9.50, roughly, including taxes and whatnot like that, and shipping. And then I literally got it, and then I listed it the same day, and it sold within 50 minutes, I think, and I made a profit of about $15 on it. So that is 100% what I would recommend doing. It might take you a little bit to get get all your cards that you're going to flip, which is the downside of it compared to card stores where you can kind of just go in any day of the week, go buy a whole bunch, and then you're set for the week. But eBay is where you're going to find your best deals. The last one I've kind of put on here is Marketplace and Instagram, where I sell a little bit here and there. I don't do it a ton just because there's a much higher chance of a scam. You really never know. Like, for example, say with eBay, if you buy something and it's a scam, they have your money back guarantee. They have all of that covered in case it doesn't come. But whereas with Marketplace and Instagram and like these groups or just different pages or whatever, you want to be really, really careful because if you send someone money and they say, oh yeah, I'm going to ship your card, and then you never get it, whether that is that it got lost or it, they just didn't send it or whatever and scammed you and then say just deleted their account or whatever. So you have no way of contacting them again and saying, hey, my card never came, what's up with that? So they don't have that money back guarantee. So I would say steer clear of Marketplace and Instagram unless it's absolutely in your city and you can meet them in person. Like, I've had a couple people reach out to me with potential offers for me to buy some of their cards that they're just trying to sell, that they're just trying to get rid of and don't want to sell on eBay. And, I've told them that, I gotta come and see it in person. One, that, and two, I want to do the handoff in person, whether it's cash or I just send them some money in person, that kind of stuff as well. And I haven't been able to do that yet, just simply because they don't want to meet in person. Or they're too busy, or schedules don't align, whatever. But for me personally, I'm not going to send anyone money until I either receive the card, which sellers won't want to do, or I meet them in person. And then, yeah, also, like I said before, do not buy from retail boxes if you're purely just going off of profits. They're complete scams. They're a lot of fun to open, trust me. But complete scams if you're just trying to make profits. Okay, so how to price your cards. There's really no easy way to kind of suggest how to price them, I would say, other than going onto eBay and going into the sold category. If you scroll down a little bit into the filters, you'll find the sold category. And then you can kind of see what cards have sold for what price. And I would base it roughly off of that. Of course, these numbers could fluctuate quite a bit. If it's a numbered card, parallel, auto, these numbers are going to be all over the place. So you just got to see where you're at. If you want to make a quick profit, you want to go on the lower end of that scale. If you want to make, if you want to move it somewhat quick but still make a little bit of money, go in the middle. And then if you just want money and don't mind waiting a month or two for it to sell, then you chuck it all the way to the top. So there's really no good suggestions that I can give on how to price your cards other than just looking at the eBay sold listings and getting a rough number based on that, or even just a couple rough numbers, chuck it into an average calculator or whatever, get the bottom of that average, get the middle, get the top, that kind of stuff as well. And now, how to take good photos of your cards. And I'm going to chuck in a couple photos here, I believe, in editing, of how I take photos of my cards that I post on eBay. So I always start with a full front photo of the card, so you can see the full front of the card in a penny sleeve as well. Make sure it's in a penny sleeve so people don't just think that you're selling it, without, or shipping it without any protection, anything like that. So I always do a full front photo of the card, and then a full back photo of the card, and then I flip it back to the front. I'll do the front top half of the card, and then the front bottom half of the card, and then I'll flip it over again and do the card number on the back. So this just proves that it is an authentic card as well. And then also, if it is a short print card, a number card, I also add a sixth photo of that, just kind of that number, just to prove and boost that value a little bit more. And kind of another thing that I have been asked about as well is timing. So I will give a kind of a brief run over of this, but I will cover this in another video in a couple weeks, I believe. So essentially, you really just got to time it on the season. Of course, prices are going to skyrocket at the start of, say, the MLB season. Like baseball card prices are going up right now on eBay. That's fully expected. A lot of sellers are starting to sell baseball cards again, whereas football cards, they're going straight down. Nothing's happening there, which is exactly, I think, to be expected. Football season's just ended. And there's not a whole bunch there right now. So generally just sell throughout the season, and then as soon as whatever sport that is, as soon as that season's over, stop selling it and sell another sport. That's why it's good to have multiple sports that cover multiple portions of the year. So, like, for example, if you're doing basketball and hockey, that would work great for half of the year, but it really wouldn't work over the summer or anything like that. Or, say, hockey, basketball, and football, that really wouldn't work great for the whole year if you're looking to sell year-round. But if you do, say, hockey, football, and baseball, like what I'm doing right now, you get the whole year covered as well. Of course, the summer might slow down a little bit just because I am only selling one sport, but it still keeps it going a little bit as well. So I hope that helped everyone a little bit more and can help you on your selling journey here. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions from this video, if you have other questions that you want answered based on this video in another video or anything like that, or if you just want to chat about cards, send me a DM on Instagram. I love talking to you guys. I've had a couple people reach out. It is so much fun talking to people about their sports cards and which ones they've pulled, which ones they've bought, and how they're selling them as well. So drop a comment down below or just DM me on Instagram. I'm happy to talk to you guys about absolutely anything related to sports cards. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed, and make sure to subscribe just for future videos as well, just so you guys don't miss out. I got a couple really fun ones coming out in the next couple weeks, and we'll see you later. Peace.